You're listening to Gifted with Sheila White, a podcast that will inspire you. Its purpose is to uplift and entertain creatives to pursue their passions through their gifts. Sheila White is a film and television producer, author, and entrepreneur. And in each episode, Sheila talks with gifted individuals about their journey and the lessons they've learned. It will also inspire you to make an impact, living your best purpose-driven life with clarity. And now, here's your host, Sheila White.
Welcome to another episode of Gifted. I am so excited to be here today. I've got some individuals that use their unique gifts to impact the world. You know, on this show, we talk to people in health, wealth, education, entertainment, arts, relationships, and spirituality. And I am so grateful that you tuned in today to get some empowering information and to meet some ladies that's going to encourage you to live a better life. But before we get into today's conversation, I would like for you to share this podcast with your family and friends for new content each week at www.road2eternity. Now, when we come back, we'll be talking to gifted ladies who inspires, uplifts people around the world. And we're going to learn a little bit about their journey and the lessons they've learned. My guests today, they're going to leave you with a sizzle and not a fizzle. They empower women to understand through their counseling that they are more than just lips, hips, and fingertips. And they can be admired for their minds and not their behinds. Get ready for some soul-stirring conversation. These ladies are courageously optimistic. I want to welcome our special guests, Shifa Scott and Miss Felicia Muhammad. They are celebrating over 25 years of sisterhood. They share missions. Their missions help others to experience their present moment awareness and a totalistic reclamation of sovereignty over the mind, body, and spirit. Their approach is rooted in self-trust, the ability to listen to the body, and the ailments that goes on. The purpose of the inner wisdom that they have is like none other. Now, whether you're being guided, they're guiding clients through their emotional resilience, their health sovereignty, or the professional growth. Their message is one of empowerment through self-awareness. And their collaboration fosters transformation. And it goes beyond the surface level changes. It encourages individuals to embrace the fullness of their being and to reclaim authority over their own lives. That's what we need. We need to take it back. I think Camilla said, we're not going back, and we're not going back. Okay. Through their workshops and their talks and their facilitations, both of these ladies, they offer you practical tools to live a purpose, powerful, and wellness life. I want to welcome these ladies to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ladies, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Doing very well. Aloha.
Aloha. Yes.
Aloha from Hawaii. Oh my goodness. I know the weather there is beautiful, beautiful. You know, I want to start out a little bit about how you ladies got into the story. I know a little bit about how this started, but Shifa, I want you to tell a little bit about your journey of what got you here.
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having us on your show. This is really an honor. We are happy to be here. Nice to finally meet you. And you look wonderful.
Aloha. I wish I was in Hawaii right now.
I think it's on everybody's bucket list.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So how I got here. When I was 14, I decided I did not want to have eczema anymore. I had suffered with severe eczema most of my life. I think I can remember all the way to when I was about 2 or 3 years old, dealing with the itchy, scaly, not really understanding that this doesn't have to be part of life. And my parents were doing the best they absolutely could for me at the time, but nothing that was prescribed actually worked. So by the time I got 14, my parents had moved me to Atlantic City, New Jersey. Our family, not just me, moved us to Atlantic City, New Jersey, because they felt like the salt water would be good for my skin. And it was absolutely an improvement. However, by the time I hit puberty, and I'm 14 years old, eczema was expired. It was time to go. And so through prayer and meditation and a deep desire for healing, I began to get information and instruction in my dreams. And I started putting together the formulas that were coming to me. And by God's grace, I was able to formulate a cleanser and an oil. That's what it was called at the time. It was just a cleanser and an oil. And I cleansed my skin. And I had eczema along the side of my neck, on the right side, in my elbow, the creases of my elbows and knees, in my thighs. So when I walked, it was painful, and on the top of my behind. And so Atlantic City is a beach community in the summertime. And so to wear a bikini, you need to be looking like, bikini
beach body. You need to have a beach body, right?
Yeah, okay, that's it. And I did not. And so I was not happy. So anyway, I started using the product and all over. And to my thrill and excitement, okay, if I really put it into what it was for me, several months later, I would say less than a year later, my eczema was clear. But I did have scarring, right, because I had the type that oozed and had pus, and I would scratch and it would leave scars, and then the scabs, and then the scarring. And so then I found out that I added a clay to my little system I had going there, and the clay took away the discoloration. And I put the same formula that was in the cleanser and the oil in the clay, and the scarring went away. And I am thrilled. So to this day, that was at 14. And so to this day, at 67, I am happy to report that I no longer have eczema and that the system actually really does work. And it not only restored my skin, but my self-confidence and my self-esteem, because when you have what you feel like is a deformity of some kind, right?
Yeah.
It affects you in many, many ways. And of course, it gave me a great confidence, a great belief, a great trust in the Almighty, the Absolute, as the healer of everything. And I learned from that experience that everything that we need is already given.
Yes.
It's already on the planet. We get to be studious enough and receive the guidance, right? Be open to receive the guidance and listen. So important to listen, right? And obey. And everything is given. Everything is given. So that's my humble beginning.
You say humble beginnings, but it's a great beginning. It's miraculous, actually. A lot of doctors have not found that particular type of cure. And when you say the healer, it brings me to actually the question about, holistic, because a lot of people are going to the pharmacy, PHARM, that pharmacy, getting the pills, instead of going to the farm, FARM pharmacy, God's pharmacy. It sounded like you were going to God's pharmacy, his farm, to get the natural things that you needed. And so let's talk about the holistic approach. Because I know that there's a totality that you guys talk about too. But what are the differences between this and that? We'll say the holistic versus the totality, because people are afraid to embrace sometimes the holistic thing. They think it doesn't work. They think, oh, that's just, a moneymaker, a cream, an ointment that's on the market. So how do you help people to understand the difference when you come to something that's the real deal? God's pharmacy, so to speak.
God's pharmacy. So in addition to the topical, right, the external part that I was using on my skin, I also radically changed my diet. I started juicing. I became a vegetarian because it was found out or revealed to me that the eczema was bloodborne. So it required a total shift in everything that I was doing. Absolutely. And at that time, my parents thought it was just a fad. You know, here I am in high school. I'm juicing every day. I'm like, I'm not eating that meat anymore. I'm not eating that pork anymore. I'm not eating. They were like, okay, the girl is gone off the deep end, right? Until it actually worked.
Yeah.
And so that whole pharmacy part, the farm is where the nutrients, the vitamins, everything that your body needs, everything that the cellular structure requires at that atomic level to heal itself, right? Because the body is designed to heal itself if you give it what it actually needs. And that is the totality. The other part that may have been missed in that is the prayer and the meditation. So when you approach it from a soul level, the totality starts at the soul level.
Yeah.
And it begins with the understanding of our oneness with the Creator. And since our oneness gives us the ability to access what is available to us, and we meditate, visualize on what the goal is to not have eczema, and then to do the things that are necessary. It's the other part, right? So now we've got two parts of that totality, the consciousness of the oneness, and then the application of whatever needs to be done, and then the discipline to actually change, right? The willingness to actually change. So the totality, different from holistic, is that it is inclusive of our whole being with a recognition of universal consciousness, right? The oneness, right, of it all. So hence the name of our brand is Oneness Wellness Lifestyles.
Wow. And that's a mouthful. I mean, that came from the top. That had to be facts to your spirit, girl. That was nothing that you could have just set down, spending time with the Creator, and understanding his pharmacy. And as you said, the body will heal itself if you give it the right ingredients. And it's so important, to understand that, because a lot of these herbs and things out there, that's where a lot of the medicine comes from, but it's mixed in with a lot of other stuff that causes, when you watch the television, you see all these commercials, this is good for your eyes, but it's going to cause your liver to go out, your pancreas to go out, and all these other things. Then you're kind of afraid to take it. But I think working in the natural, where you mentioned being a vegetarian and things, and it's a good lifestyle, because, a lot of people don't eat anything that'll swim, hop, crawl, fly, or walk. You know what I'm saying? Yes. They're like, we're going to do this the God's way. We're going to do this God's way. I want to when you talked a little bit about the subconscious mind, the universal consciousness, I want to get a little bit, Felicia, into the other part. I mean, the natural skincare is good. That's what's happening on the outside. We see that, and people look at your skin, but the inside could be just as damaging as the eczema on the skin or the acne on the skin. You could be walking around with the beach body looking good and having some things taken care of, but if the mental is out of order, that's a whole nother thing. Let's talk a little bit, Felicia, about the holographic grip that is on people's minds or subconsciousness that's giving them a limited belief in themselves. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I know we got so much good stuff today that we want to break down. Yes. So let's talk about how the subconscious mind, how do you tap into that to be able to break some of those barriers?
So thank you for asking. And again, thank you, as she said, for having us on Gifted with Sheila White. And being able to tap into the subconscious mind empowers us to be able to know how to connect with that part of you that is unknown, unseen. Okay. And so we have our conscious mind, we have our subconscious mind, right? Yes. So with our conscious mind, we know that, and studies have proven that 1% of everything that we experience is with the conscious mind, right? Okay. So the subconscious mind manages and controls the other 99%. But you can't tell the mass population that, because they think the consciousness, oh, if I can see it, I can believe it, this is what it is, right?
Wow.
And that is totally not the case. And we can prove it in no limit of time. So when we connect with the subconscious mind, we are actually tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So let me say it like this. That subconscious aspect of you is your heart functioning. If you had to think about making your heart beat, nobody would be here, because you're so worried about everything else, right? You would forget to tell your heart, keep beating, keep beating. So it's the heartbeat, it's the organs functioning. It is all those things that are running automatically.
Yes.
All right. And so as we are, now that we have tools by which we can support you with knowing how to connect with the subconscious mind, the subconscious mind is that aspect that those thoughts that you think, but that you don't even say out loud, whether you say it out loud or not, just thinking it. That is what is navigating, that is what's controlling, that is what's in the background playing, that we are acting out from. Okay.
You better say that. You better say that. Wow.
And
so you're saying what you think about, you bring about.
You bring about, exactly. And one of my master teachers, Dr. Julie Fulcrum, she definitely supported me in really getting really clear, because as a little girl, I was always fascinated with the brain, and I was always talking to God about, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? And had this really introspective personal relationship with God, and talk to God like he's sitting right here beside me, right? And I was getting answers, right? And so when I met Dr. Jewel, she really helped me to understand that every thought that we think is producing a chemical. It's a protein. Yeah, it's a protein. And so when we are thinking these thoughts, this chemistry is happening inside the body. And now these proteins are now in the blood, and they're going to all the organs, traveling to all the organs. Wow. And so when you think, and when your parents may have said to you, when you were younger or even in the womb, oh, you're just like your daddy, you're not going to be good enough, or even if they hated your father, or your mother had low self-esteem, or your father had low self-esteem, then that chemistry was in the DNA.
Oh.
Okay. And so, and then when you are born and you wonder why you have this tendency to always feel bad about yourself, or you have an attitude with your father because your mother had an attitude with your father, right? And so that programming up to 7 years of age, and Dr. Bruce Lipton has proven this, that programming happens up to 7 years of age. And so those thoughts and those experiences and those ways of being and what you have seen, that's being programmed because you're most impressionable during those times. And you're operating out of the theta brainwave. Okay. And that is that brainwave by which you are most impressionable. And it supports you with being able to lock in. Yeah.
So you're saying that we are the thinker that thinks the thoughts that makes the things.
Yes.
It's just not magic. It's just not, it's something happening. It's at that subconscious level. If you're in a relationship with someone, and let's say that, you said like your husband or your wife or whatever, and you say, well, he's just a dog. He ain't no good. And these thoughts are coming out. Then now you're pregnant. And then you're saying these things, he ain't no good, he ain't no good. And then that goes into the DNA is what you're saying to that child, which is so interesting, because when a mother's eating, whatever she eats goes into the child. And you would think that the thoughts that she's thinking would just go right through the bloodstream or whatever it is too. It's so interesting. And I think it reminds me of a scripture that, in the Bible that says, let these thoughts be in you. let these thoughts be in you. That whole scripture there. So whatever you're thinking, it does have something to do with action, reaction, all of this mixed in together. So now let me ask you a question. Since you phrase it that way, what were some of the challenges in relationships that you've had in the past to bring you to this knowledge of like, woo, this is some stuff right here. You talk about some of those past things.
I am so glad you asked. So myself, and how I know this to be true, my mother and my father were not married. Okay. And so my mother never talked about my father. She never said anything bad about my dad. And even if she did, I wasn't having it. Okay. So with that being the case, my dad wasn't in my life. So make a long story short, I sought attention from men that I didn't get from my father.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And through, again, this communication, asking God, why is this, and really being introspective. As I got older, I was able to have this conversation with my dad, right, later to find out really what was going on. And so what that also supported me in being able to discover is that by seeking attention from my dad that I didn't get from my father, I was always looking for someone to take care of.
Oh, wow.
And I ain't shared this part. I ain't never said this before. Okay.
Wow.
You're
getting exclusive, folks, all the way from Hawaii.
And so as a result of that, so I'm showing you the patterns and the programming, right? So as a result of that, when I was in my second marriage, in my second marriage, I began to have all of it started coming back. All right. Because then working with my sister, she and I met in 2000. We connected in 2000. Yeah, it was 2000 in Charlotte. So we connected and of course was continuing to do the healing work. Right. And so I was living in Chicago at the time and I was a hairstylist and I kept noticing these patterns in the money. How it would come, I would make a lot of it and I wouldn't, and I just had these ebbs and flow with the money. And so again, I'm asking Allah, as I understand Allah to be at that particular point, and being registered going to Mosque Mariam and registered in the Nation of Islam. And it came to me about scarcity. Looking at the money. So there was this opportunity to participate in this program called Unleash Your Inner Millionaire. Because I had been asking the questions and every time I ask the questions, I get answers. So I was online and I was, doing my books and looking at some healing, other healing modalities because my friends and everybody know I'm always the one to bring the latest technology and healing art.
Yeah.
And so
that one.
That one. And so so when I came upon this, I was like, So I did the webinar, that they introduced to you to get you to have your own experience. And during that session, he explained about the subconscious mind and I could relate to that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. And so went through the limiting beliefs, right? Because the programs that we hold or the thoughts that we think and the experiences that we have, when we keep seeing these certain cycles, then that's when you want to begin to ask these questions and recognize where there is a disconnect. Okay. And so I went through the process and asked, okay, so I discovered I had a scarcity mentality. Okay. And how does that connect to my father? Because it connected to my father because when he was in and out of my life, he would send me money every now and again. My father was a truck driver and I love him to death. He just made his transition. I love him to life, rather. He just made his transition. And so the connection was that me seeking attention from my father, right? Seeking attention from other men, from my father, looking for them to take care of me because my father didn't take care of me like I felt he should. Okay. And so then as a result of that, being able to recognize that that was connected to the money, that scarcity, not thinking I ever had enough, not thinking I was enough. Okay. And so in this experience, this webinar is when it was discovered that by being able to connect consciously to the subconscious mind, using the body as a pendulum, I was able to recognize and connect with the deep core that, yes, there was a scarcity mentality. And through continuing to do this work, it was discovered that, I had the scarcity consciousness and being able to shift it as if by magic. 2 days later, my income increased by 20%.
That is amazing. And that's why we need to talk about it, because the wellness part, as we talked about in the beginning about the skin. And I want to go back to that a little bit, Ms. Scott, too, because sometimes we're not comfortable with the skin we're in. Doesn't matter, big, fat, short, light, dark, all these different cues of us as a people. The feelings that you had when you had some imperfections in your skin, on your skin, and how it made you feel. And then that period of time that you go, I'm a teenager and all this, and there's the beach and all of that. I want to talk about the self-esteem a little bit, because a lot of girls are trying to put it on, pile it on, trying to be glamour and all of this, and trying every fad and things that come out. What would you say about the beauty? Because we're talking about natural products, and I'm looking at your skin and this is glowing. I mean, it's the Hawaiian sun. We don't have that in Chicago, especially today on this kind of day. But what would you say about the beauty on the outside? Because people are trying to put things on their skin. Let's talk a little bit about some of the natural things that they can do to help that skin to be a little more healthier. So if they're going to apply something on it, they're not trying to cover up the blemishes and the acne and all of those things, because they haven't done the things that they should. Eating has a lot to do with it too, I know. But let's talk a little bit about what we can do to take care of the skin, because that's just as important.
Certainly. That's a powerful question. And, beauty really is from the inside out, and not just personality and spiritual consciousness and all of that, which causes the light to shine through you. Right. However, it is also what you just said about what you put in. So the very first thing to do is to eliminate the acidic intake. So your soda pop, right? And I say both of those words because in different parts of the world, they call it soda pop, right? We know that is acidic. And there is a food combining chart that we recommend that tells which foods, fruits, vegetables, juices, all of starches, carbs, protein, how they match, how they go together so that they do not cause acidity in the bloodstream. Okay. All right. So since we start from the inside, that is the beginning phase. Now, in regard to piling stuff on, I was piling stuff on, okay? Yeah. Because we have this this image that we've been programmed with of what beauty looks like. Yeah. And it doesn't look like any of us when we first look at it. We're just like, well, that's not me. Right. And so we move ourselves toward this artificiality and this desire to want to be something other than we are. Okay. So we move toward our low self-esteem, right? Because when you are not grateful, thankful, and appreciative of who you are and how you be, all of that, then that low self-esteem, that depression even, right, sets in on us. And we try every possible thing we can think of and what's been advertised to us to make it better. Yeah. So the makeup industry, the cosmetic industry, which is laden with artificial everything, right? And it is harmful to your health. But because there's no health warning on the cosmetics like there is on a pack of cigarettes, okay, nobody, right? It's secret, it's clandestine, it's covert, right? It's covert that 1 out of 5 women will die between the age of 55 and 64, statistics tell us, because of the personal care products that we're using on our bodies. Okay. However, we don't want to hear that because we are so focused on looking beautiful, and we have all of these airbrushed images of what that looks like, and we do it at all costs, as Felicia just said, right? So I was using Dermaclear, right? And as I modeled from the time I was like 12 to 22. Okay. So I was good at the cover up. That was great at the cover up. Wow. However, that wasn't helping. It was harming. So we get to read labels. We get to identify our beauty with our health. And the cognitive dissonance between skincare and healthcare is what the major underlying problem is. We're not making the connection between what we're putting on our body and what we're putting in our body as the same thing. Whatever we put on our body is going into our bloodstream. The pores are a two-way street, right? So all the substance is going in, and it is affecting us in our endocrine system, which are the glands that support the autonomic system, that Felicia was just talking about. So you really get to, it all boils down to this phrase that we've all heard before: know thyself. Know thyself. As a human being, what is it that is required for me to be healthy, for me to be wealthy? And that takes a certain amount of that introspective wellness. Yes. You got to dive deep in. And the superficiality of this world inhibits us from even thinking about it. Right. Because we don't have original thoughts. We're all mostly guided by what we see and hear through the media. Right. Wow. The media that is training us to be what they want us to be, as opposed to how we were created to be. Right. You're so right. That's what I would say about the beauty and the self-esteem. My parentage, my parents were Rosicrucian mystics. So I grew up with a whole different idea of God and consciousness and meditation. And so that was my upbringing. And, the church was actually secondary to that knowledge base. Wow. Okay. It's all one thing.
Yeah. When you mentioned the media, you're so right. It is a plug-in drug is what it is. You plug it in your phone, you're seeing the media on your phone, you see the television, radio. It's a plug-in drug. And this next few minutes is going to be, audience, is going to be detrimental to your ignorance, because these ladies are going to spit something out, and in the next few minutes, it's going to be detrimental to your ignorance. So I'm going to put a label on that right now, because I want to talk about the 5-day wellness blueprint challenge. This information is going to be detrimental to your ignorance. So get ready. Call a friend. Let them know that this information is coming forward straight from the island of Hawaii. Tell us about the 5-day wellness blueprint challenge, because if we could do it in 5 days, come on, y'all. That's amazing. Yes. So explain that to us a little bit.
The wellness 5-day blueprint challenge is for the elites, women, and you all are elites. Yes. Okay, so let's be really clear about that. Professional, savvy, C-suite sisters. All right. And it's the importance of this challenge is to support you in reclaiming your body sovereignty, to reignite your flame and empower you and hold you accountable, to help you to hold yourself accountable, because we're facilitators. We guide you. All right. We guide you, but you got to do the work, and we help you to be able to go within and know how to do the work. So this Ignite Your Flame Oneness Wellness 5 Blueprint Day Challenge definitely supports you with being able to have the information to be able to know why you should be putting yourself first. All these executive women and those in the government, and in your homes, because you are the governor of your home. So, managing your home, we don't want to leave our homemakers out. You put everything and everyone before you.
Yeah.
And no longer are we supporting you in being able to do that. It is required that you learn the skills, that you have an outlet by which you can come and communicate what your challenges are and be open to receive solutions that are practical, that you can use every day. And you have, during the 5 days that we're together, we keep you accountable. We participate in it. Okay, so we keep each other accountable with empowering you to know how to, again, put yourself first, and providing you with the qualities and the tools by which to regain your sovereignty, to become the alchemist of your revitalized beauty. Right? Yes. So it's a fun experience. We have a lot of fun. I have to just say, give you the warning. We take you there. Okay. We take you there. We do say things and help you to think about things in a different way so that you are able to take responsibility for your actions, because when you leave our presence, you won't be able to say you didn't know.
My goodness. I told y'all going to be one hop from the top. Fooling around with these ladies. That's the 5-day wellness challenge. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There is so much information that you ladies have. We just have to have you come back again, because there's so much information that you have to help the inside all the way out. First inside and then out. And it is such a blessing. And there's one more thing that I just like to talk about, because in a world of change, complexity, and overwhelming competition, how do you help people to avoid the oppression and the depression and the anxiety? I'm talking about more now going in from the mental, as you said, going through this challenge. People still want to hang on to the holographic grip that has been placed on them, or that they're holding themselves to. So how do you help them to break it, to let go of the fear, so that they don't have to be complacent that this is my lot in life, I can't go any farther, and they're just afraid to be resilient. They're afraid to let go, and they're afraid of that.
Right. So fear is the consciousness blocker. Okay. So understanding that first and foremost, and then we begin to change the language. So I'm hearing you talk about a holographic drip. Am I hearing that correctly?
A holographic grip that's on that person that's holding them. Yep.
Okay, a holographic grip. So when we begin to understand that we are actually a fractal hologram of the creator, okay, then that is the antithesis of this grip that you're talking about. So it gives us the ability to have a different thought form and to begin to be released from the grip, right? And to recognize that we are not victims in this world.
No victims.
Right? There is no victim mentality here. And when Felicia said we take you there, we give you what we call a cosmocentric view of yourself to juxtapose to this outer reality that has been imposed on us, right, on the planet. So when you begin to help people to think differently, they begin to feel differently. And it empowers them to do things differently. So hence, with this blueprint, you actually get a blueprint, right? It is a map of where we are, right? The resilience revolution is where we start. And then we actually take you through that whole first step of 12 sessions, right? So that's what this first 5 days is about. And so when we are committed in moving to being a higher version of ourselves, then we are able to let go of the fear in community because you're not alone, right? Most of the time, the fear is because I'm all by myself. And even in a big crowd, you still think you're all by yourself. And so here we listen you, right? We hear and we only respond based on what the download is and what is written into the program. So it's liberal in terms of being liberating, so that people can overcome their fear and self-doubt.
And I would like to add to that too. We have a couple of processes that we support people with understanding how easy it is to shift and to transform and to change. So we support them with being able to recognize that fear, right? It is a feedback and it has information in it that you can be aware of should you choose to, because you all have free will. And so when you recognize that fear is feedback and it has information in it, now we support you with being able to be an observer and be honest with yourself when you recognize the fear, and then being able to second go into gratitude for the fear, and then third being able to ask the question, well, what information is this that I should be aware of?
Yes. But it seems so simple. It seems so simple, but what are one of the cosmocentric views that you ladies have learned that's been the most important lesson? Your most important takeaway? Because all the people that you've come in contact with, the sermons you've heard, the people, the ancestors, the relatives, friends, books, what are some of the most important lessons that you've had that you would say that you could share with the audience?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
This just absolutely changed my life. Changed my life. When we recognize that the female energy is the creatrix, right? You don't get to come to this planet unless you come through the womb.
Come on now.
All right. So our whole process is built for the feminine spirit, to empower the feminine spirit. It's a yin revolution. Okay. And so how do you tap into that? Well, we all cycle for 28 days.
Yes.
Right. And since we cycle for 28 days, that means inherent within us is a universal cycle. Okay. Because we didn't program that. We came like that. Right. Divine design. So if it's every 28 days, that means that there's not 12 months, there's actually 13 months. And that is the universal clock or timing frequency that you plug into that creates a shift almost immediately when you begin to have the realization that this whole Gregorian 12-month, 60-minute clock is a farce. Okay. Yeah. And that the women are the timekeepers on this planet, and everything flows, flow periodically through us. Us. That is a power that we have been trained out of. Right? Nobody ever, if you ever heard that before, that's because you tapped into it yourself. But most of us as female, we don't understand that we are the power on this planet. And because of the misogyny, we have been oppressed from our true nature. And that's the simple thing of changing your calendar. And we have the process of how you do it is a cosmocentric view.
Come on now.
And we take you through that whole process for those who are willing. Okay. and it will shift you like nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's powerful.
it becomes so natural because you understand that time is art.
Whoa.
It's art.
Yeah.
Come on now.
And because we create the womb, the mind of God, the void, the womb, the same darkness, right? That's in the womb, that's in the universe. That is us.
That's who we are.
That is who we
are.
That
is the feminine energy.
That is the feminine energy. Wow. And so, being like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, a nation can rise no higher than its woman.
Come on now. Our cup runneth over.
Yes.
Cup runneth over. I am telling you, I told you folks that we took you to school today, took you to church today, took you to the classroom, took you a little bit of everywhere. This is amazing. And I am just on full. I mean, it is so much that we've had to share. We're going to have you ladies come back. I mean, we're going to have a piece of Hawaii and this slice of Chicago back here, because this is some good information. And this is what people need to know. Because the more we know, the more we can help ourselves in these changing times and all of the challenges that are going on in the world today. We need information like this. How can our audience get in contact with you ladies to be able to embrace more of this holistic, cosmocentric view on life to help them move forward?
So the quiz.
Yeah.
So the first thing we do is invite everyone to take a quiz so that they get more in tune with who they are. Right. And it gives us a start to beginning to the relationship. Yep. Right. And so it's really easy to do. You can see our banner behind us. If you're ready to embrace, and although it says holistic healing, it's really totalistic, but their mind is not around the totalistic part yet, right? So you have to speak to people where they are. Right. And so what you would do is just text the word healing to 808-207-7370. Again, that number is 808-207-7370. Text the word healing to that number, and then just follow the prompts, and it will put you directly in touch with us.
Wow. Yes. Wow. Well, we have been talking to the ladies, I'm telling you today, Shifa Ali Scott and Felicia Muhammad. You guys are, they say, the bomb.com. Period, as they say in Chicago, period with the T, with the T back here. It is so awesome. We just want to thank you ladies for being our special guest today. And I want you to embrace this holistic healing. Call these ladies, get in contact with them, text the information that they sent for you. This is something that could literally save your life. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. This is something that can save your life. We want to thank you for being our special guest today. Folks, if you did not hear this entire broadcast, I want you to visit us on www.road2eternity.net to hear this entire broadcast. Share this with your family and friends. There are people out there that need this information for their mind, the body, and the soul. So share this information with them. I want to thank you, ladies, and I want to thank you, our audience, for listening. I want you to remember that you are uniquely designed and strategically gifted. Use your gifts to impact the world the way that they're doing in Hawaii. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you for listening to Gifted with Sheila White. We hope you understand how your gifts can make an impact on the world. Gifted with Sheila White is produced by Road to Eternity, a film and television production company.